Hi and welcome back to my video training series, Be Brilliant, 5 ways to propel your career and life from vanilla success to spectacular triumph. I'm Alana Rosso and this is video number 3, Follow Your Core Values. Now, core values are something that I think are often overlooked in that personal development space. We kind of sometimes brush them aside or don't think they're that important, or actually we think they're so obvious that we don't need to spend any time on them. So what are your core values? Well, those are your most deeply held priorities in life. And the key word here is deep. What is really so meaningful to you, so important to you, that it is a non-negotiable, that it has to be there. And what's interesting, I say non-negotiable, but a lot of the time we do just brush them aside because we have obligations, we have stressful jobs, we have all these things. But if we don't actually acknowledge what these are, these core values, these deeply held priorities, our life can become derailed very easily. So if I have a client who has a dream job, but they are feeling really unfulfilled, this is one of the first things I will look at. Actually, I look at this with every client because I do think it's so important, but this is usually a great indication that that person is now not in alignment with their core values. So what's an example of a core value? Well, it can be something like family, it can be connection, it can be freedom, it can be partnership, it can be health. It can be a whole bunch of different things. It's different for every person, obviously. I have a really interesting core value, and I didn't discover this till about 5 years ago. Now, I mentioned in the first video that I liked a ventilated calendar so that I wasn't addicted to struggle and I had this space. So it turns out that space is actually one of my core values, and this is kind of not one I hear too often. Some people might frame it as freedom, but I like to call it space. And so let me kind of clarify that. So I like space in my calendar. I like physical space. So I don't like a lot of clutter. I don't need things to be totally like, I'm not a clean freak, but I need to have that space where I feel like there's not too much going on. I need to have days where I'm completely by myself. I need to have days where I'm not on Zoom and maybe not talking to people too much. I need that freedom of space. And so it's really important to me. And so a huge part of my life and my whole work life really revolves around that. For example, also on Fridays, I don't have client calls on Fridays. That's my day to really connect with myself and do things that I really want to do that day. So I encourage you to start thinking as we're talking through this video, what some of yours might be. Now, I had a client named, we'll call him Andrew, who kind of did have that dream job. He was working in an ad agency, loved actually the fast pace, loved that whole industry in the beauty industry, but was feeling disconnected and stressed. And when we kind of dug a little bit deeper, one of his values was partnership. So it was that feeling of doing things together with his partner and that connection that comes from it. Now, of course, because his job was so stressful, he really could only take a couple vacations at a time. It wasn't the type of job where you could take those 2 weeks at a time. And he was feeling that he wasn't experiencing that feeling of partnership other than like a couple hours at night when he got home from work. So this revelation really had a huge impact, as simple as it is, because he really made the decision to leave agency life. And that is not something to take lightly because these can be great jobs that pay really well. And they can be, again, if you like that fast pace, which he did, kind of a lot of it suited him. Not for everybody, but it suited him. So making that decision once he became aware of what his core values were had a huge impact on his life. So think about what your core values, write them down. In actual fact, I keep mine on a Post-it all the time. I have 5 that are kind of my top 5. Think about your top 3 to 5. Keep them visible so that every time you make a decision, whether you take a new job, take on a new task, join that condo board, sign up for tennis lessons, whatever it is, does it align with what your core values are? Does it make sense? And if it doesn't, then maybe consider not doing it because that's just not going to help you feel fulfilled. Follow those core values and I guarantee that you will start to feel that your life is more fulfilling and has more ease and grace. Thank you for joining me. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next video where we are going to talk about confidence.